Armageddon Survival Plan, the key. For printed version please contact JAH at JAH.truth.net. Chapter 13. Unlucky for some, most. Question mark. If there is a God, why doesn't he put the world right? Why does he allow all this evil to carry on? A short answer, and the reasons for this, have already been given to you, in Chapter 2, which is, that, everyone has to be allowed to exercise their free will. The longer explanation is, that, God created the beautiful Garden of Eden, and told you to do as he advised you to do. You have made the world the way it is now, by ignoring God, and listening to Satan, and God has always told you, each and every one of you, that you were doing wrong, using his good voice, inside your head. You have made the world into a mess, and you must put it right again, before the last day, to show God that you are sorry. Why are you all so lazy, except when it comes to earning money? Why don't you get off your fat backsides, and do something, instead of sitting and moaning, expecting God or someone else to do it for you? We have allowed mankind to reach this point, to let you see your own insanity, hopefully, and what a terrible mess you have made of this world, just as we predicted that you would, by ignoring our advice and following Satan's advice. This has been done, to prove to you, that neither you, nor Satan, are fit to, nor capable of running this world, much less the entire universe, yourselves, so that perhaps, now, you will all see sense, and do as we advise you to do, instead of doing as Satan advises you to, like you have been doing, for the last few thousand years. See this as a controlled example, of what Satan's rule would have done to the universe, if he had won the war, as you fought for him to do. Satan is totally, criminally insane, and there is absolutely no depth of depravity, cruelty and selfishness, to which he will not stoop, and make you stoop, if you allow him to. That is why, we told you, that he is your worst enemy. You now have a perfect opportunity to start again, having learned, hopefully, from all the mistakes of the last few thousand years. If each and every one of you did what God tells you, and stood up for what is right, then there would be no wrong, and within a matter of days, the world would be a good place to live, and you would reap the benefits, because you have to live in it, not God. God wants, and has always wanted, to help you, but you don't listen to him. You only have a short time left, in which to do it, and if you don't all change, then, very soon, God and I, in spirit form, as my real self, Michael, the Archangel, will put things right, by destroying all the evil souls. The choice, as always, is yours. Make a fresh start, now and never give in. If you give in you will die, and it is that simple, and that certain. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, you are responsible for your soul, not them. I will gladly help you all, and I beg you to let me, and that you will come and help me, and each other, and thereby yourselves, to put the world right. The first step is faith, and the second is to talk seriously to God, and ask his forgiveness, and for his help, and for him to tell you what to do. Just as I said, 2000 years ago, I will say again, because God never changes, those of you who follow my teaching, will know if I speak God's truth, or whether I have invented it myself. John 7, verse 17. I give you my personal guarantee, that, if you give my Father 100% faith, he will prove, to each and every one of you, that he is real. Once he proves things to you, you must always remain humble about it, and help others to find him. The worst arrogance is religious arrogance, because it turns people away from God, instead of towards him. Matthew 23, verse 13 and Matthew 7, verse 1 to 5. Beware of your own arrogance, or self-confidence, because religious arrogance, or false self-righteousness, is the easiest for Satan to use to fool you. Beware of self, and the enemy within. Don't let Satan scare you off from doing good, with his evil voice, the one that you mistakenly think is your imagination, or cavern of your mind, and which nags away at you, to try to wear down your resistance, telling you that it will cost you more than it is worth, in money. How much is your immortal soul worth? Don't lose your life for money that you cannot keep. Don't be afraid of Satan and let him scare you, because, if you are doing God's will, and you believe 100% that God will protect you, then no one can hurt your soul. Evil be to him who thinks it, or who thinks it will come to him. When you have childlike, 100% faith in God and his protection, and that he is holding you in the palm of his invisible hand, who can possibly harm you? Your children have faith in you and your love for them, and you are bad, but you would not wrong them. How then could God, being good and pure love, wrong you? Trust him, and give him your childlike faith and trust, and put your hand in his, just like your children do to you, and let him lead you home. Come to me and my Father, and let us seal our mark in your forehead, so that you can survive, and eventually go home. Become one of my gentle, but determined, soldiers, Jedi Knights, learn the ways of the Force, and help me to put the world right. I also guarantee for you, that all of the children of God, of all nations, who are real and practicing believers, doing God's will, and thereby wearing our mark, will survive, and no favoritism will be shown to any nation, just as I said 2,000 years ago. Luke 13, verse 29 and Revelation 5, verse 9, and as Muhammad repeated 1,400 years ago, Surah 2, verse 62 and Surah 5, verse 69. Every single, individual soul will be judged, individually, on its own merits. Surah 6, verse 164. Grab hold of God, with both hands, spiritual hands, and hang on to him for your life. Never let him go, or you will die. Do his will, and let him teach you what you need to know, so that you can live, and go home. Surah 2, verse 256. Once you start to do God's will, Satan will use everyone that he can, to attack you, and try to pull you back into his control. The easiest people, for Satan to use, are the ones closest to you, and particularly women, because women are easier for him to manipulate and use. 1 Timothy 2, verse 14. If the women around you can't, or don't want to pull you back, Satan will send progressively more beautiful, and sexier women, until he gets you back. Satan will use and inflate your ego, by telling you, from within, that these women want you, because you are so wonderful. Don't let him deceive you. Remain humble, at all times, and learn to see Satan and God, in everything and everyone around you. There is no such thing as coincidence, it does not exist. Anyone who has an ego, and is not doing God's will, himself, and is not living by God's laws, and with God's direct guidance, can be manipulated and used, by Satan, to attack you, from any direction. Satan's voice, inside your head, will then try to scare you, and try to convince you, that you are so outnumbered, that you cannot possibly win. God will allow him to say these things to you, to test your faith. If you hold on to your faith, and ask for God's help, and control your human emotions, you will always win. The entire world cannot stand against you, when you are doing God's will for you, wearing his armor and using the Force. Satan's realm is fear, and, when he tries to frighten you, that is when you really need your faith in God. If you keep your faith, in the face of all evil, tribulation and tests, you will find out that God will protect you, and defend you, and that Satan's threats are all bluffs. This protection, from evil, should encourage you to be ever more faithful to God, and his guidance. Don't chicken out, wear the whole armor of God. Ephesians 6, verse 11 to 19, and call Satan's bluff, and he will fall back into the shadows. He hates the light and the truth, and he is afraid to come out into the light. Shine the light of God's truth on him, and he will run. Use the light, saber, to cut through Satan's lies and deceit, to find even more of God's truth, and defeat Satan, slay the dragon. Look for the truth and live in the light, because only the truth can set you free. When you find all of the truth, you will find your immortality. King Arthur Pendragon's knights, pen, to fasten up and restrain, dragon, Satan, went in search of the Holy Grail, which was not a physical object. When Jesus said, "Can you drink from the cup that I drink from?" he was not referring to his chalice or cup, but to what you have to do and be like, to go home. The search for the Holy Grail was the search for divinity, and eternal life, not for a physical cup that Jesus drank from, at the Last Supper. The knights who drank from the cup that Jesus drank from, that is who became like Jesus, found their immortality, the Holy Grail, and there were only 3 of them who succeeded, and all the rest failed, because they were impure. Sirs Galahad, Percival and Bors found the truth, and the Holy Grail, and drank from the cup that Jesus drank from, and went home. Matthew 20, verse 22. All of the other knights failed, because they were not pure, worthy or brave enough, and so the Holy Grail disappeared. Arthur pulled the sword from the stone, to become King of England, when he was just a weak, humble boy, after all the bravest and strongest knights in the land had failed. He didn't use his own boyish strength to pull the sword from the stone. God gave him the force, because he had the right qualities to teach the others. So he gave him the magic sword, and the friendship of Merlin, the wise old magician. King Arthur taught humility, honor and equality, and built a round table, so that everyone was equal, and there was no head of the table. There being no head to the table, meant that there was no position of special merit, and that the knights were all equal. He united all the warring knights into one brotherhood, and brought peace to England, as God had planned. Once there was peace, and the knights had no wars to fight, they went in search of the Holy Grail. Satan could not possibly allow them to find their divinity, and go home, so he had to find a way to cause trouble, and get them warring, and killing each other again, so that they would not find the Holy Grail. Satan, therefore, used Arthur's wife, Queen Guinevere, to cause the trouble. Satan made her have an affair, commit adultery, with Sir Lancelot, Arthur's best friend, and made sure that Arthur found out. The two then faced each other, on the battlefield, with their respective followers. King Arthur tried to prevent any unnecessary bloodshed, and drew the two forces up, facing each other, saying that he and Lancelot would settle the matter, between the two of them, and that no man must draw his sword. He said, that, if any man drew his sword, then that would start a battle, between all of them. Satan could not permit just Arthur, or Lancelot to die, and then peace to reign again. As long as Satan could keep them all busy, fighting each other, they would not have the time to think straight, and go looking for the Holy Grail. A snake then attacked one of the knights, and he drew his sword, to defend himself, which started a full-scale battle. Arthur had said, that, if anyone drew his sword, it would be a signal to start a battle. The snake was, of course, Satan, serpent. Revelation 12, verse 9, and he had used a woman, and sex, to prevent peace from reigning. As long as Satan can keep men fighting each other, they will never have the time, to look for, and find the truth, and then go home. St. George did not ride around slaying physical dragons, he rode around slaying the devil, wherever he found him. Revelation 12, verse 9. St. George saved a princess, from a fire-breathing dragon, and he captured the dragon, Satan, and subdued him, and led him into the town that he, the dragon, had been frightening, but refused to slay the dragon, until all the townsfolk were baptized, and they praised and gave thanks to God. The princess was a virgin sacrifice, to pacify the evil dragon, Satan, and St. George saved her purity, from evil, and saved her from the flames, whilst wearing the whole armour of God. St. George was everything that a knight should be, and the highest example of chivalry. Purity is the only way to beat the dragon, and avoid the flames, but you must also wear God's armour. Purity of thought, word and deed, that is motivated by pure love. In everything that you do whilst wearing God's armour, you need fear nothing. If the devil cannot scare you in one way, he will try another, looking for a chink, gap, in your armour of faith. Satan will tell you that it will cost you more than it is worth, in money. How much is your soul worth? How do you put a monetary value on immortality, and your right to leave hell, and go home to your real family, in heaven? Don't let the devil lie to you, and take your immortality, in exchange for money that you can never keep. You cannot serve God and mammon, worldly riches, because you cannot be faithful to both. If you love material wealth, the devil can use your love for these things, to bribe you, by offering you more, or blackmail you, by threatening to take them away, into not doing God's will, and fighting the devil, for your right to go home. There are only two sources of supply, of information and material things, and everything on earth. One is God and the other is Satan. Who is paying you? Material, temporary wealth and certain death, in exchange for your immortality and right to go home, to heaven. Many question marks. Can you envision forever? Once you are never going to die, time has no relevance. Humans count time, from birth to death. Remove birth and death, and time no longer has any relevance, or value. I am millions of years old, and I am going to live, forever and ever, in heaven, with my real family, and your real family. What are you going to do? Are any of you actually going to be stupid enough to exchange your immortality and heaven, for this awful planet and certain death? Believe half of what you see, and none of what you hear, unless you are sure that you are hearing it from God. Open your spiritual eyes. Isaiah 42, verse 18 to 20 and Isaiah 43, verse 8. Don't use your human eyes, because Satan uses them to lie to you, and show you all the artificial glitter, and bribes. If you open your spiritual eyes, and see things as they really are, through the Force, you will see many things, the past, the present, the future, old friends, God's prophets, long gone. At first, you will start to make sense of things that happened in the past, and, as you progress, if you progress, you will eventually come more and more up to date, until you will eventually start to make sense of your life, as things are happening, the present. Once you have achieved that state of awareness, you will start to see the future, and you will see old friends, that you mistakenly thought were long gone. You will realize that they are not dead, and that they are still alive, but in a different form, and you will feel no separation from them, through the Force. Then, your whole life will make sense to you, and you will see that everything in life is for a reason, and that there is no such thing as coincidence, or luck. Fight Satan, to make this planet a better place, and for your right to survive, and go home. Anyone who is not actually fighting for good is automatically allowing, and, therefore, is fighting for evil, because, by doing nothing, you are helping evil to win, by default, just as if you were actually fighting for Satan, against God, yet again. He who is not with me, is against me. Matthew 12, verse 30 and Revelation 3, verse 15 to 19. There is no middle ground, and you cannot sit on the fence, because your time is running out, and you are getting closer to the fire, and your execution. Fight or die. Fight with the truth, love and determination. Determination is willpower, and the will is the eye of the soul. If you don't have enough willpower, of your own, even though your life depends on it, ask God to help you and to reinforce your willpower. Mark 9, verse 24. If you don't fight for God, then, not only are you going to die, but you are also hurting yourselves, because you are helping to make the world into a worse place, for yourselves to have to live in. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether it be nobler in the mind, to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of hate, and in so doing, end it. It is an uphill struggle, and the higher you climb, the more difficult it becomes, because Satan will have to try harder to stop you. Satan does not want you to go home, he wants you to stay here, with him, and die, with him. The devil would be very lonely, if everyone went home, except him. When things get really difficult, the devil will tell you that your enemies will kill you, to try to scare you, and find a gap in your armor of faith. You are already under the real death sentence, so what have you got to lose? Fear not those who can kill your body, but not your soul. Fear only those who can kill your body, and soul. God and his angels, if you are found unworthy, on the last day. Matt. 10:28. Don't be afraid of those who can kill your body, because you can always get a new and better one, but where can you get a new soul/spirit being, which is the real you, if God has executed you, on the last day, and you have ceased to exist? Separate, in your own mind, your soul/spirit being from your human life, and the other two voices. Learn which voice is God's, and which is Satan's, but be very careful. Satan is very sly, and he can put on a very pleasant voice, to try to fool you into thinking it is God talking to you, when it is really him. Once you have separated. Matthew 6, verse 24 and Luke 16, verse 13 and Thomas, log 47, verse 13 to 17. The King of Kings Bible, Thomas 8, verse 3 to 7, the two voices. Follow the good one, and you will learn what you need to know, from God, personally, and privately, and then you will learn to separate the real you, your soul, from the animal self, and learn how to control it. God will help you, by controlling Satan, if you ask him to, whilst you control the two selves, spiritual and animal. Escapism, or evasion of reality, is not the answer, because you can never escape. And you are wasting your own valuable time. Drugs and alcohol are just more of Satan's weapons, which he can use to cheat you, or, in fact, get you to cheat yourself. Alcohol is a drug, just like any other drug, except that society has made it more acceptable than the others, because the rich own and control it and the governments make money out of taxing it. The Muslims call alcohol Satan's urine and do not drink it. Sex can be a very strong drug too, if not controlled. Temporary escape from reality, using drugs to take you into another little world, separate from the real world, where pain is not so sharp, is a fool's paradise. The problems are still there when you come straight, sober, only worse, which can then lead to more drugs, for more escape, leading to drug addiction, or alcoholism, and total surrender, if not controlled. Drug addiction and alcoholism are the same thing, except that they refer to different types of drugs, both of which can kill your body. Alcoholism and drug addiction are the coward's way out, by surrendering to evil, and then hiding, permanently, in their separate world, where there is less pain. It is also very selfish, because they pass their pain, and problems, on, to those around them. There is no escape, and you only make things worse for yourselves, and those around you, who love or care for you. If you kill your body, God sends you back again, into another body, and punishes you for having done it. There is no escape. You have to face your problems, admit your weaknesses and faults, to yourself and to God, and overcome. Revelation 2, verse 26, your problems, and pay your karmic debts. Admit that you are not perfect, and lose your ego, and the pain will go with it. If you were perfect you would not be here. No one else is perfect either, in fact, they are probably worse than you. But their egos would never let them admit it, to you. They don't need escapism, because they are happy, being bad. Then ask God, with humility, to help you to overcome your faults and weaknesses, and put on God's armor, and fight your weaknesses, with His guidance, and overcome them, solve your problems, by finding the solutions, and make your world bearable. If you do that, you will earn some spiritual self-respect, through the victories that God has helped you to win, and learn to like the person that God has helped you to become. Remember though, always to remain humble, because you could never have won alone. Another way that Satan can get you to cheat yourself, with drugs, even if you are not addicted to them, is because drugs, especially alcohol, quieten your good voice, and make it less effective, and then, Satan, now that his voice is louder than God's voice, tells you to do evil things, that you would never do whilst you were straight, sober, and in full control of your senses, or not to do what you should be doing. Many people grow horns, metaphorically, when they are drunk, and become aggressive and want to fight everyone and or smash and destroy things. That shows who is controlling them, Abaddon/Apollyon, the destroyer, Satan. Revelation 9, verse 11. Sex can also be a very powerful drug, which makes people do all kinds of things that they would not normally do, and nymphomania is sex addiction. Through sex, money, fear and drugs, Satan can rule the world. God is the only cure and answer to every problem in the world. Don't look to people for the answer. They are just as lost as you are, but they would never admit it. Their egos wouldn't let them. God holds the answer to every question, and the cure for every ill, and He is patiently waiting for you to ask Him, and He has been, for thousands of years. Talk to Him. Get rid of your arrogance and your self-esteemed wisdom, which is actually stupidity, and become like children again, children of God. Give all your problems to God, and let Him help you to sort them out, one day at a time. Matthew 6, verse 34. Use God's real wisdom and not your own foolishness. Proverbs 3, verse 5, Luke 18, verse 17. Forget tomorrow, just do the task that God has given you to do today, to the best of your ability. Tomorrow is another day. One day at a time, guided by God. It's much more fun than being a grown-up, and serious, weighed down by all your problems. Give them to God and be a child, playing the game of life, all your life. What next? The next step is for men to regain control, and their masculinity, which does not mean beating your chests, or beating your wives, or going around punching people in the mouth. It means asserting your authority, firmly but gently, and, if necessary, making yourself into one of the third type of eunuchs, referred to by Jesus, in Matthew 19, verse 12, which means doing what you should do, and being a real man, and doing without women, to fight for God. It is easier to punch people in the mouth, and to fool yourself into thinking that makes you a man, than to face your problems, the hard way, and overcome them. A real man faces his problems and responsibilities, with determination, and doesn't run away from them. He fights spiritually and overcomes them, against all odds. There are no such things as problems, only solutions, waiting for you to find them. If, Rudyard Kipling, see Appendix. Making yourself into one of the third type of eunuchs, metaphorically, means not selling your soul for sex, and letting women rule you, by offering or withholding sex from you, to make you do what they say, instead of what God says. If one woman doesn't want to make love with you, unless you do as she says, someone better will respect you, for your principles, and for not giving in, and for your faith in God and doing what is right, and they will want to love you, and be protected by a real man, and their love will be much better, and less selfish. Don't let Satan fool you, into thinking, that, being able to make babies, makes you a real man, because it does not, neither does having a boy, instead of a girl baby. Any animal can make babies, including mentally retarded human ones. Ladies next. Come on you silent feminine majority, speak up, and help your man to put things right. Say that you want to be treated like ladies, with love and respect, and courtesy. Tell your manly, liberated sisters, that you do not agree with them, and to stop spoiling everything for you, and, thereby, make them back down. If women's liberation is right, why then, as well as it having been responsible for creating all the innumerable social problems that have come with the breakdown of the family unit and society, are women suffering from stress, with more and more young girls and women smoking, becoming alcoholics, or tranquilizing and hard drug addicts, having nervous breakdowns, and committing suicide? It is happening because these women have been put into a position where they are trying to do and be something that they were not intended to do, and are not ready for, or equipped to cope with. Today everything is sex. Whatever happened to love, and tender loving care? You can keep sex. I will choose tender loving care, every time. Any man, who has allowed women to brainwash him, into thinking that women are his equal, is not much of a man, in real terms, even if he is an expert at punching people in the mouth, and fooling himself, into believing that that makes him a man, when he lets women walk all over him, and order him about. If you have allowed women to castrate you, metaphorically, into believing that they are your equal, then you have become one of the second type of eunuchs, referred to in Matthew 19, verse 12, and there are some eunuchs, which were made eunuchs, real ones, by women, or men. In Deuteronomy 23, verse 1, God says that, he who is wounded in the stones, testicles, that is castrated, metaphorically, or has his male organ cut off, metaphorically, cannot enter into the congregation of the Lord, heaven. This applies literally, as well as metaphorically. I suggest, for your own good, that you look for, and find, your masculinity, immediately, if not sooner. Men should also be given custody of their children, in the case of a divorce, unless they are the guilty party, and men should not have to pay their ex-wives' maintenance, but, instead, use the money to pay a nanny, or housekeeper, to take care of their children and their ex-wives' duties, until they can find another mother for the children. No single woman, or divorcee, can bring up a son, because they either grow up to be homosexuals, or completely uncontrollable. 2 Esdras 5, verse 8, and women should not be permitted to do so. That is one of the major reasons that there are so many muggings of old people, and so much vandalism and hooliganism, because these boys have grown up without the necessary discipline that only a dad can provide. 2 Esdras 5, verse 8. Another very important reason that the man should have custody of the children is because he is better equipped to teach them the spiritual qualities that they need to learn than the woman is, because he is on a higher spiritual level than her. Many divorced or separated women today teach their daughters, little by little, as they are growing up, brainwashing, to hate their dads, and consequently all men, in their subconscious, if not their conscious minds. These girls grow up maladjusted, and then, unfortunately, they pass on the damage to their children. Numbers 14, verse 18. So none of them have a chance of forming a happy, lasting, stable marriage. A man would not teach his children to hate their mother, and cause them to grow up maladjusted. He may show them their mother's faults, but he would not teach them to hate her. Unfortunately, as a result of the present day's unlawful human laws/legislation, which wrongfully give custody of the children to women, the world is now full of maladjusted people, because their parents, or parent, taught them the wrong values. Numbers 14, verse 18. Under human law, legislation, there's no incentive for a woman to make a marriage work, because, with her more materialistic mentality, knowing that, if it doesn't work out, she will keep the house, furnishings and the children, and that her husband will have to move out of his home, and pay her maintenance, both for herself and the children, in her own mind, she will be better off. So why should she try to make the marriage work? Some women even get married, just so that they can later get divorced, and be better off materially, and they actually plan the whole thing in advance. Human, unlawful laws/legislation, therefore, naturally encourage divorce, whereas, under God's laws, the incentive is to learn humility, tolerance, and to make the marriage work, which is beneficial, not only to themselves and their children, but also to society in general, the greater good. It would be a very evil woman that would leave her children and her home, and, if she did, the children would be much better off without that kind of mother. God's laws are designed to teach humility, unselfishness, tolerance and love. Women's liberation teaches women arrogance, aggression, selfishness and emotional hate, all of which come from Satan, and lead to execution, on the last day. If you can't get on with someone you loved enough to marry, and cannot be relied upon to keep your word of honor, given to each other before God, how then can you expect God to trust you? The difficulties that arise in a marriage should bring you closer together, not separate you. These difficulties test you, to see if you can be trusted to keep your word, and are designed to teach you more tolerance and love. How can you pass these tests, when you give in and divorce, at the first difficulty? You cannot. Can you not see what changing the laws, and giving equality, and custody of children, to women, has done to the institute of marriage, and society? You changed the laws, and the streets are now not safe for you to walk. You are not even safe in your own homes, and are now suffering the results of your own arrogant and unlawful actions. Divine justice. Widowhood is obviously a different case, and, in this case, the two granddads, godfathers and other men in the family, should help the mother to teach and discipline her sons and daughters. Children should not be born out of wedlock, and single mothers should not be supported by the state. Children need to grow up in a proper family, with a dad to keep discipline, and a stable background. There is no such thing as a one-parent family. A family has two parents, or it is not a family, read a dictionary. The next step is to disband all forms of organized religion, and for people to go into their closets, or bathrooms, or into the countryside, or their garden, or to a lakeside, or seaside, or anywhere in peace and solitude, and talk to God, thoughts, not spoken words, in humility, and sincerity, and honesty, and ask Him to show you what He wants you to do. Then listen for His reply, in your thoughts, and learn to know the difference between Satan's words and God's enlightenment. Then keep God in your thoughts, 24 hours a day, even in your dreams, and do your best to be like Jesus, or even better, like God, in thought, word and deed. Practice, until you can still do it, in the middle of a noisy crowd, or in adversity. As soon as you start to control your human animal body, and do God's will, Satan will try to confuse you and scare you, or tempt your animal body, to mislead you. When this happens, God is allowing Satan to tempt you, to test your faith and willpower, to see if you are sincere, and really mean what you say. Don't give in. This is when you must cling to your faith, like a drowning man clings to a life-saver. You must expect this to happen, and be ready for it, and when it does, ask God to help you to overcome, by controlling Satan for you. When this happens, every time that it happens, and you are confused, do nothing. Sit down and shut off your human senses, and tell God that you are confused, and that you don't understand, and ask Him to tell you clearly, and exactly, what He wants you to do. Listen for His answer, and be sure that it is His voice, and not Satan's. When you are sure that you have heard and understood God's message, the confusion and anxiety will float away, and you will feel relieved, and as though a great weight has just been lifted off your chest, or shoulders. Then, and not before, go forward and follow God's guidance, to victory, and, eventually, home, to heaven, which is not a silly abstract, superstitious dream, but a real place. It is a place where no one steals, or kills, or tells lies, and everyone loves spiritually, everyone. In the world today, because people don't talk to God, and have faith, and do His will, we have a situation where, instead of the souls being in control of the animal bodies, doing good, for the benefit of everyone, unselfishly, there are approximately 6 billion human animal bodies, running riot, in control of the souls that are locked inside of them, and causing havoc, because of their selfishness and greed. Control yourselves. Slow down, and take care, that you are making sure, safe and certain steps forwards, along God's path, that is the way home. Don't move without God's guidance, or you may step on a snake, and go backwards, in a 3 steps forwards, and 4 steps backwards situation. Once you are on God's path, as long as you don't give up, you are going to live forever, so why are you rushing around in circles, like a lunatic, bumping into things and hurting yourself, and others? What is the hurry? Come and find me, physically and spiritually, I belong to all of you. Come and help me to put the world right, and, by so doing, help yourself to be able to go home. Home. I have already written to most of the world's main leaders, both political and religious, as well as the Queen of England, the Prince of Wales, and the Secretary-General of the United Nations Organization, and they have all been very rude, by not answering me. Those of you who want to survive, please write today to your own heads of state, and tell them about this book, and that you want them to see and speak to me, and help me to save the world, and all of you from the fire. Please also write to the heads of all the churches, and tell them that you want them to contact me. Please do it now, there is no time for you to waste. In option 1, or out, option 2, of this body, that I am using now, I am going to rule and bring peace and justice to this evil world, all of it. If, by ignoring me, you force me to shed this body, and go straight to option 2, then, most of you will be executed. I am the only person who can bring peace and justice to this world. You have had thousands of years to do it, and you are as far away now as ever, if not actually further. The Jews are waiting for my first coming, and the Christians and Muslims are both awaiting my second, and I am the only person who can unite all 3. We can do this the easy way, or the hard way. The choice is yours. We can do it the easy way for you, whilst I am in human form, or the hard way for you, and the easy way for me, when I shed this crude, human animal body, that I am using. I want to save each and every one of you, but the choice, as always, is yours. Come and learn to be good, and let me show you the way home. The end? Many question marks. A friendly word of caution. If anyone is stupid enough to kill this human animal body that I am using, they will free my spirit, and make me more powerful than they, or you, can possibly imagine. Wherever this body falls, my soldiers will be gathered, and the reaping will start. Matthew 24, verse 28 and Luke 17, verse 37, and I shall avenge all those who were slain because of their love for my Father, and me. Revelation 6, verse 9-11, Malachi 4, verse 6. The whole world refused to believe Noah, and Sodom and Gomorrah refused to believe Lot, and they all perished. I advise you to believe me implicitly, or you will all perish too. Update December 1988. This year, 1988, I have already challenged the British Parliament to recognise my sovereignty, and they have refused, whereupon I went on hunger strike, and completed 65 days, before suspending, not cancelling, it. I was still walking around by the 60th day, and they still don't believe me. I took this body, that I am using, close enough to death, to show how serious I am, and to see their, and your, reaction. So far, not one of them has offered to speak to me, proving that they not only don't care about me, but that they are also prepared to let all of you die, along with themselves, rather than give up their material riches, that they have stolen, from all of you, under their unlawful laws/legislation and their positions of power over you, that you have allowed them to get into because you did not keep and enforce the law against them. Whilst I am in human form, I can only remove them, with your support and help. I am doing this for your benefit, not mine, so help me and thereby yourselves. If you don't help me, then I shall be forced to go to option 2, and I have already explained the consequences for you, under that option. The choice is yours. References: Venus, the bringer of peace. The morning/evening star, Venus, Al-Uza, Ishtar. The planet turns clockwise, which is the opposite direction to the other planets. NASA Mariner, the 2nd of December 1962. NASA Mariner, the 5th of October 1967. Saw nothing except a smoke screen, clouds. Russians Venera, the 4th of October 1967. Russians Venera 5 and the 6th of May 1969. Transmitting probes. All 3 Russian probes are believed to have been crushed like eggshells, when they were 15 miles or more, above the surface of Venus. All that any human has ever seen of Venus is dense clouds, smoke clouds. Screen, like those covering the spacecraft on the top of the mountains, when Moses and later Jesus were talking to God. These clouds reach 35 miles above the planet. Men still cannot explain the riddle of Venus' ultra-high temperatures of 1000 degrees Fahrenheit, at which lead, tin and zinc will melt, and any number of compounds will vaporize. It is very simple for God to make silly human heat sensors misread. Venus has always been considered to be the god of love. God is pure love, and giving good benefits to earth. A Babylonian clay tablet from about 700 BC warns, when Ishtar, Venus, grows dim and disappears, there will be a slaughter. When Ishtar appears, the crops of the land will be prosperous. Venus is the Roman goddess of love, and beauty and harmony, and her emblem is the mirror reflecting exactly what is shown to it, just like God. The Mayan Indians have a calendar dating back thousands of years, which is a calendar of planet Earth, encircled by a calendar of Venus, which is far more accurate than could be calculated in modern times. Abraham saw a star and said, "This is my Lord." Isaiah 14, verse 12. How you are fallen from heaven, Lucifer, Satan, son of the morning star. Jesus said, "To him that overcomes this world I will give the morning star." Revelation 2, verse 26 and 28. Jesus said, "I am the bright and morning star." Revelation 22, verse 16. The King of Kings Bible, Revelation 30, verse 16. By the star when it goes down. Surah 53, verse L. The nightly visitant. Surah 86, verse 1-4, by the heaven, and by the nightly visitant. If only you knew what the nightly visitant is. It is the star of piercing brightness. For every soul there is a guardian watching over it. Praise God at night time and at the setting of the stars. Surah 52, verse 49, when the star Venus alone is visible. Note well, the references that I have quoted from the Old Testament and the New Testament are taken from the King James Authorized Version, because it was the most accurate Bible, until the King of Kings Bible was completed. The references that I have quoted from the Quran, that is surahs, are taken from the translation of the Quran, into English, done by Mr. Abdullah Yusuf Ali, 3rd edition 1938, which is widely accepted, by English-speaking Arabic people, as being the best translation, until the King of Kings Bible was completed. The references that I have quoted are just a few, out of the thousands that there are, in these and the other books of God, which will prove to you that what I say is God's truth. If you need any more references and convincing, please search the books and find them for yourselves. Appendix. Words of Wisdom 1. God, please grant me the serenity, to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can change, and the wisdom to always know the difference between the two. Words of wisdom 2. Serenity is not freedom from the storm, but peace, brought about by total faith in God and His protection, amidst the storms of nature and of life. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose, and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more you'll be a man, my son. Rudyard Kipling, 1865–1936. The Quest for the Holy Grail, from the play, The Man of La Mancha, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. Morning star, this is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know, if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm, when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be no better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage, to reach the unreachable star. Lyrics by Joe Darian. Sam Fox Publishing Company Incorporated, New York, New York 1965. Words of Wisdom 3. Do not say that the struggle gains nothing, and that the labor and the wounds are in vain, and that the enemy does not faint or fail, and that as things have been, they remain, for whilst the tired waves seem to be vainly breaking and seem no painful inch to gain, far back through creeks and inlets making, comes silent flooding in the main. Words of Wisdom 4. It is not the man who has the most that is rich, but the man who needs the least. Words of Wisdom 5. In every person there is a spirit being, soul. In every spirit being there is intelligence. In every intelligence there is thought. In every thought there is either good or evil. In every evil there is death. In every good there is life. In every life there is God. Grant, O God, thy protection. And in protection, strength. And in strength, understanding. And in understanding, true knowledge. And in true knowledge, the knowledge of thy justice. And in the knowledge of justice, the love of it. And in that love, the love of all existences. And in the love of all existences, the love of God. God, and all goodness. Good, God, or evil, devil, truth or untruth.